Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the first episode of Christmas month on the Soapy Bubbles Reviews channel. During this month, I plan on making videos focused on Christmas themed content in order to get into the festive spirit. So, for the first 2 weeks of Christmas month, I plan on reviewing the first 2 entries of one of the most infamous holiday-centered slasher series within the horror genre. Without further ado, on with the review. Silent Night, Deadly Night is a 1984 psychological slasher film centering around a young boy and man named Billy Chapman who goes on a killing spree at Christmas. It also became one of the most infamous shock films or video nasties of the 1980s, being declared as morally offensive and a little abomination of the slash and bash genre by the Catholic Conference. According to an article by Hysteria Lives, or Lives, I'm not sure, the main points of protests against the film were people taking offence to its depiction of Catholicism and that the concept of a serial killer Santa Claus would be psychologically damaging to young children. This led to the film's trailers being pulled from television, and according to the BBFC website, the film wasn't even given an 18 rating in the UK until 2010, almost 30 years after the film originally came out. The film opens with a very dramatic title card, before cutting to the opening credits, very characteristic of low-budget slashers from the time period, and even now. We are then introduced to the Chapman family, Mr. and Mrs. Chapman, 5-year-old Billy who is reading about Santa, and their other son, infant Ricky. Psst! He matters way more in the sequel. The Chapmans are on their way to visit Grandpa Chapman, a catatonic who is being treated at the Utah Health Facility. Oh no, a mentally ill person in an old film. That's when you know things are going to get interesting. While going to take a look at Grandpa's records, Billy is left alone with Grandpa, and he makes some rather questionable statements towards Billy.
What about you, boy? You been good all year? You see Santa Claus tonight? You better run, boy. You better run for your life.
This is actually really creepy, even if the acting and background music is very hammy. I'd honestly cry if that happened to me as a 5-year-old, so young Billy is a real trooper. He tells his grandfather that he'll be good from now on, and on the way home he complains to his parents that he is scared of Santa. They try to comfort their son, but a criminal dressed as Santa Claus assaults Mrs. Chapman and kills both the Chapman parents after robbing a gas station, both children witnessing the whole thing. This is quite sad as a backstory, given that Billy was just told that Santa punishes people for bad behaviour. He probably blamed himself to some extent for the incident. There's a time jump, and Billy, who is now 8 years old, and is really showing off his 80s style in his appearance, now lives in a Catholic orphanage, and gets in trouble for things that are most definitely caused by being traumatized, such as creating violent Christmas drawings. One of the sisters, Sister Margaret, is concerned about Billy, and believes he needs help through love and specialized care. The Mother Superior, however, disagrees, and believes Billy deserves corporal punishment, and that he's just a badly behaved boy. While going to play outside against Mother Superior's wishes, Billy spies on 2 of the older orphans, and Mother Superior catches and beats them as punishment for sinning. She then also punishes Billy for leaving his room, and he has terrible nightmares that evening. As he has been thrashing and running around during the night, Mother Superior ties him to his bed. She also reveals her plan to introduce Billy to her idea of exposure therapy during their annual visit from Santa Claus.
William will sit on Santa Claus' lap and behave. You'll see.
This obviously does not go to plan.
Billy! Billy!
What the hell's wrong with that kid?
Geez, that kid must have been really terrified to muster the strength to punch a fully grown man over, and give him a bloody nose. It cuts to a decade later, and a now 18-year-old Billy Chapman has been hired as a stock boy in a shop with the help of Sister Margaret. The film then has this very odd tonal shift, and we get this 80s sitcom-esque montage with cheesy music in the background.
Warm side of the door, where the fire's bright and it's burning.
Holy shit, you'd expect them to start pausing what they're doing and start smiling at the camera while their name appears underneath them. Throughout the montage, Billy is shown to have grown up to be a relatively well-adjusted young man, except for showing distress when he is met with anything Christmas related. Given that this is an 80s slasher movie, and there's still just under an hour and a half of this film left to go though, I'm sure that won't last long. He is shown to have developed a crush on his co-worker, Pamela, but on Christmas Eve, the man who plays Santa Claus at the shop cannot fulfill his role this year, so Billy's boss, Mr. Sims, makes him take up the role. Billy doesn't exactly conduct himself that well around the children, but for some reason, their parents actually approve of this.
Do you have any idea what you're doing? You're being naughty. Right on Santa's lap. I don't bring toys to naughty children. I punish them severely. That's right. Stop it. Or I'll have to punish you.
He sure knows how to handle kids. He's great, isn't he?
Once the store closes, the employees hold a Christmas party, but Billy's co-worker Andy and Pamela go into the back room and Billy follows. Andy tries to assault Pamela, which triggers Billy and causes him to go into rage mode, stringing Andy up with Christmas lights in a quite creative, festive kill. Pamela doesn't take this whole ordeal too well, obviously, so Billy stabs her with a utility knife. He kills Mr. Sims with a hammer and stalks the shop's manager, Mrs. Randall, around the shop while mumbling a visit from St. Nicholas to himself. He shoots her with a bow and arrow and leaves the store, and shortly after Sister Margaret comes to check on him, but instead finds what he has left behind. Billy breaks into a nearby house where a babysitter and her boyfriend are beginning to engage in some sinful actions. Billy impales the girl using a deer mount, and her boyfriend is defenestrated. The little girl who is being babysat comes out to see Santa, and Billy notices her.
Have you been good? Or have you been naughty?
She tells Billy she hasn't done anything bad all year, and he gives her his utility knife as a gift, although she responds to this with a look of confusion. Two police officers are looking for Billy after being notified by Sister Margaret, and notice a man entering a house through a window.
Daddy.
Daddy?
Wow, childhood ruined, what a pair of douches. Two bullies that don't look like teenagers steal some kids' sleds, and Billy does not take kindly to this, decapitating one of the bullies with an axe. This is actually my favourite kill in the film, just because of how goofy the body looks as it rolls down the hill. The following morning, the police and Sister Margaret come to the conclusion that Mother Superior is next on the hit list. The deaf priest of the orphanage is mistakenly shot by police as he couldn't hear the warnings due to being deaf. Bruh, all those children, including a now 14-year-old Ricky Chapman, just witnessed Santa die. Billy makes his way into the orphanage and kills the police officer who shot the priest, and then confronts a now wheelchair-bound Mother Superior. He prepares to strike her with his axe, but is shot by the police captain who has arrived with Sister Margaret. As the children look on sadly, Billy utters an attempt at some eerie last words.
You're safe now. Santa Claus is gone.
Ricky looks on in horror before glaring at Mother Superior and saying one very familiar word.
naughty.
I don't know how I feel about this film. It's a mishmash of a variety of things: tasteless 80s slasher content, psychological torment, and it's tonally all over the place. The first part of the film with Billy's childhood is really messed up. I understand that this is just a shitty film, but the idea that a child with behavioural problems could have been in a situation like this in real life is depressing. I think that might be why there are silly moments like the montage or the police catching the wrong guy scene, to help the audience deal with such dark concepts, and I don't know if I like it or find it jarring. I find it interesting and quite accurate to real life, how all of Billy's reactions are built from things he saw and learned as a young boy. I watched the uncut version of the film for this review, and you can tell which parts were cut out since they look far grainier and older compared to the scenes that obviously weren't cut from the film. There were 4 sequels released after this film, as well as a semi-reboot in 2012, and it has been announced that another remake shall be coming out in the near future as well. Most of the sequels don't have much or anything to do with the original film, so I will only be reviewing the second film for now. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave any thoughts you had in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.